Welcome to the next episode of Beyond Reps. In this episode, we're going to break down your favorite Instagram influencers and whether they are natty or not. But first of all, Charlie, how are you?
I am all good, mate. I am digging deep into prep now, so about 13, 14 weeks in, 3, 4 weeks to go. So yeah, it's definitely becoming a bit of a struggle. Hunger is increasing and energy levels are rock bottom, but still digging away, still chipping away. Lots of progress being made, so I'm starting to see some abs now, which is quite nice. But yeah, definitely ready to see the end. How are you? How's things going your end?
I mean, I'll just say before we talk about myself, mate, your face is looking. I just said offline that you're looking like Skeletor, mate, and you can definitely see we've had a couple of weeks hiatus from the recording. So if yeah, when this rolls out, there'll probably be a bit of a dramatic change in Charlie's cheeks. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely starting to get the skull face, the prep face on, but looking really good. Really excited for you actually to dig in for your next 4 weeks and then see how you turn out and how the photos turn out. It's with Bailey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Bailey in Nottingham. So yeah, the cheeks are definitely coming in, feeling a lot less puffy and just feeling very depleted overall. Joints are hurting. It's becoming a bit of a slog getting steps in, and just day-to-day chores are becoming a bit more of a task. But yeah, it's going to be enjoyable. I think it's 24th of May, so as of recording, 4 weeks today. No, just over 4 weeks. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Something I've never done before, but looking forward to it.
Brings me straight back to my prep in 2022, and then I had a photo shoot in Bailey's studio on the off the back of that, and really cool studio. He's a good guy, to be fair. It'll be interesting to sort of see how he handles the day with a big group of you there. But he's probably the best known fitness photographer, certainly that I'm aware of in in the fitness space in the UK. So you couldn't be in better hands. But I'd be interested to see how lean you are compared to some of the other like people who are doing it with you in your program, because you look like you've obviously really stuck to the plan 100%. You've been dropping like a kilo a week, which is pretty insane, especially now that you're down to like nearly 80 kilos. So it'll be yeah interesting to sort of see how you compare to some of the other people on the photo shoot.
Yeah, I started at 95 kilos. I was 79.95 this morning. So yeah, it's a big drop. I think we've averaged like just over a kilo a week. So yeah, it's like obviously took a bit of a break for skiing and then, the odd weekend away here and there, but it's averaged out about 1.2 kilos a week, which is pretty good going. It's just been consistently falling off. There's been no changes to cardio, no changes to calories. It's just been consistent throughout the whole time. So that's been quite nice. I think I'm going to take a refeed tomorrow, but that'll be the second one of the entire prep. So it's nice to have some extra food in, but I can't imagine it's going to touch the sides. The first one, it was quite difficult, but now I'm just ready to eat all the food. So that's going to be interesting to try and control. But yeah, definitely looking forward to some extra food and the end of the photo shoot prep.
Yeah, really impressive about how you've applied yourself, and literally from like week one, you've just locked in straight onto the salad, straight onto cardio, straight into all the steps that you've been getting in. I mean, with my own like weight loss transition that I'm doing over summer, I wouldn't really call it like a prep or anything, because I'm not really prepping for anything other than like maybe the odd festival towards like the middle of summer. Junction 2, that's kind of peak week for me. But yeah, what I would say is that I've recently sort of turned up a little bit as well. So I've had to make the unfortunate decision that I've had to cut out a lot of carbs at like lunchtime. So most of my carbs I've shunted into the morning post session. So still training fasted, then get the carbs in afterwards to replenish the glycogen stores. But then like come lunchtime, it's just salad and some cooked chicken and just lots of it, and then throw in a bit of sauce here and there, but like low calorie sauces. And to be honest, yeah, I don't, I haven't missed the salads too much, but they are so filling, and they do just serve a really good purpose. And definitely a secret tool when it comes to getting lean is just getting into the salads early.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually mentioned it before we started recording. I had a big salad before we started, and I feel so full, so satisfied. And I think the issue is a lot of people think it's just salad leaves, like you're just nibbling on some lettuce, but it's what you actually put into it that matters. Like mine had olives, red onions, tomatoes, cucumbers, some tomato and herb prawns, some chicken sausages in there. So it's probably about 500-600 calories worth, but I'm now full and satisfied until my next meal in like 2-3 hours. So yeah, it's definitely a good way to go. And although it's not the most exciting, I definitely prefer a pizza over a salad. It serves its purpose for now, and I would much rather be full and satisfied from that rather than have a pizza and still be hungry afterwards.
Yeah, like I'm literally switched on to salads probably started this week, and I've already dropped like over half a kilo or so. So it's about 300 grams a day. There's obviously going to be some water weight in there because salad's less food volume versus sort of carb heavy foods. But I've really noticed that an immediate shift in body weight, which is quite refreshing to be fair. Is the current formula is basically eat salad, wake up the next day leaner, and then use that as momentum to then eat salad again, and then wake up the next day leaner. And I'll just keep digging like this for a little while. I am currently at 90.7, which is the lowest I've been so far on this. Considering I started at 95.5, which is obviously pretty heavy, but still a minimum 6 kilos really to lose. I'd like to get to like 84. We'll see what I look like then, but it obviously always gets harder as you go along. So because I don't really have that extrinsic goal. There's no deadline for me. Just kind of like, we'll turn it on here and there. Like started off by cutting out like the little bakery. Was having 2 little bakery items every day. Cut that out. Then we had to cut out the protein granola, which made me a bit sad. Now we've had to cut out the carbs at lunchtime and replace it with salad. And then it will be probably changing some condiments to like super low like fat condiments, and those are the decisions that I'm just going to have to continually dig a little bit deeper for, or maybe increasing steps is another thing that I've been working on, is trying to getting 10,000 steps today rather than being like, I'm going to hit 10,000 steps today. I mean, I'm doing terrible today. I'm only on 3.5k today, so I've still got 6.5k to get in after the pod, but enjoying it. And hopefully going to be in a decent shape relative to the end of, is it May? We've got a festival at the end of May as well. What festival we've got at the end of May? I can't remember it is now. Is it?
We Are Festival.
We Are Festival, yes. So hopefully be in decent shape for We Are Festival, and then continue the journey into Junction 2. That sounds like such a ludicrous statement. My whole like fitness journey is based now around festivals, but we are where we are. So hey ho.
Yeah, it's definitely a goal to have. I think my goal is to obviously finish the photo shoot the day before We Are Festival, and then just try and not get fat over the summer. So obviously we do have Junction 2 in like July. So I think if I can, based on where I felt around 85, 86 kilos, if I can lose obviously as much fat as possible between now and the photo shoot, and then get back up to 85, obviously not straight away, just build up to there, and then maintain around that point. I don't want to get back up to 95 kilos. That was uncomfortable. It was just tough. Just walking upstairs, I was getting out of breath. I still want to be like relatively fit and doing some cardio and just keeping active, but maintain like 85 kilo body weight and still have some reasonable condition in there as well. Like still have some visible abs and just look like I lift. Because right now I feel like a small little child and half of my clothes don't fit me. So it'd be nice to have a few more kilos on me and just sit at a comfortable weight.
Yeah, it's the worst feeling when you basically look really, really good in the gym when you're like super lean, but then outside the gym you don't even look like you lift, and you're like, I've been lifting for like a decade and like it doesn't even look like it. It was terrible back in 2022. I'm trying to find like a nice balance with it, where we get down to about 84, 85, and hopefully I still look like I lift. Hopefully the midsection is still in. Fortunately, I don't hold too much body fat on my midsection, so I'm normally okay on there. It's more like my back and my legs, but then again, like no one's gonna have like shredded legs really. Certainly not as a natty most of the time anyway. So no one really cares that much about your legs as long as they're in decent shape. So it doesn't really matter if they're not that lean.
Yeah, exactly. Like my legs tend to get relatively lean quite quickly. Obviously, I've shaved them to make them more visible, but all of my fat's just on my midsection. Like it takes so long to come off. My upper body's normally fine. Like chest and shoulders get relatively lean quite quickly, but those last two abs are taking so long to come in, and I imagine it's going to take a couple more kilos for them to actually be a bit more visible. But it would be nice if they came a little bit quicker. And I know as soon as I start packing on the kilos, they're just going to slowly fade away. So I just need to try my best and obviously train them a little bit more as I put on that size as well. So yeah, that's definitely a goal, is just maintain some condition, incorporate more ab training to make them bigger and thicker and fuller, but also just not get fat as far.
We should also update the pod and show them that I've got my first ever tattoo. So for those who are listening, please turn on your cameras to catch up on Spotify, and I'll just show you where it looks like there. So it's on my back of my forearm there. So it says acta non verba, which is just Latin for actions, not words. I was kind of like bouncing around the idea of having a tattoo for a while. I always said like once the frontal cortex is fully formed and I'm at least 25 or over and I'm not going to do anything rash, I'd make a decision on what I wanted to have. And I've quite enjoyed looking at like the Greek mythology sort of theme. And then more I was thinking about it, like a lot of people get like, I think it's Vendi Vici VC or something like that, which is like I came, I saw, I conquered. Thought that was a bit. It's not really the one, is it? So I wanted to choose something that actually I wanted to stick with, and something that made sense to me. So yeah, acting non-verbal, actions not words. I think that's just so applicable to how I think life in general, but how I want to live my life is you don't want to be one of those people that just is always like, yeah, there's big things coming soon, or this is, watch this space or anything like that. It's actually about doing what you say you're going to do, or even doing it and then talking about it afterwards. I think there's a lot of people out there who are just hype men, or just say have all these ideas, but there's no actual sort of meat to the bone. And I kind of want to be the opposite of that. So yeah, I wanted to just make sure the pod was aware that we got the first tattoo done. There will be some more planned in, probably more along the Greek mythology, sort of Roman theme. Just quite enjoy it. Maybe some patchwork. But yeah, we'll go from there. Definitely don't want to get anything too heavy that covers up like the whole of the rig. I think some people get, when they get too tattooed, it just ruins their physique. So there's a balance to be struck, but some more planned in for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I love that, mate. It looks sick. I'm definitely a big fan of the Greek mythology, and particularly the style of writing as well. I'm yet to get a tattoo, but maybe you're now setting the trend, and I'll follow suit. Probably not the same tattoo though. We've got the same haircut. I'll avoid the same tattoo.
We have to be twins. We have to follow each other in terms of what we look like. So it was quite funny. We went down to London. There was I can't remember the chap's name now, but he was like, "Are you guys like twins or brothers?" We're like, "Nah," but we do
Yeah,
look a little bit alike. To be fair,
we could be. I have got a fresh trim though. Literally got it cut fresh yesterday, so it's looking very very sharp.
mine's fresh today as well. To be fair, it's the only lid, the low mid fade. I was chatting to my hairdresser Keenan in Gord's Barbers in Gaywood. Bit of a legend, isn't he? And yeah, he was basically saying that it's definitely on trend at the minute. So clearly we've set that trend.
Absolutely. It's just a very low maintenance haircut. I like it. So yeah, it's definitely going to be the one going forward, going into summer.
Excellent, bro. Right, let's hop on then. Let's give the viewers what they want. So let's go natty or not. I think the way we're going to bounce around this is we've obviously got some popular, some big names in there, but there's also a few more nuanced, maybe less well-known Instagram influencers, I guess, depending on what we want to do. What we'll do is in the editing process, we'll throw up a picture of the person as we mention their name, and then basically we'll go back and forth between me and Charlie. We've each got a list. We haven't told each other who's on the list, but I'm sure there'll be some crossover, and we just want to debate, are they natty, and kind of sell them to see what we think to it and what the viewers think to it. So I'm going to get started. The first one is the most obvious one to talk about, which is obviously the big Mike Thurston. The guy is an absolute OG in the fitness space, and I'm going to put it out there that I'm actually fully on his side, which is that he's natty. I do think he has unbelievable genetics, and he came out years ago, but he did like a transformation video where he showed himself being, I think it was like 8 or 10 years old. He had like a full six pack, had like reasonably shaped pipes, like decent muscle bellies, and like he actually looked great that early on. And he's obviously been posting YouTube content for a very long time, so you can go back and you can watch his content all the way throughout over the years. And in terms of like his size, he's not really fluctuated. He's always stayed like similar sort of size, similar sort of condition. It's not like he's like blasted gear, flown off the charts of his size, and then dropped back when he's cruised. So I think there's that side to it. I also think that if you look at him in his videos versus what he looks like on Instagram he looks absolutely stupid. But then if you look at him in his videos and you look at him next to people, maybe it's just because he's training in Banús and they're all absolute monsters in there, then he actually doesn't look that big in his videos. And I also think that his physique probably, in my opinion, peaked in like 2021 when he had like his 30th birthday. There's some footage of him training. I forget what the club's called. The gym's called now. But there's a gym, and I trained at it myself, to be fair, when I was in Ibiza, and it's got that purple sort of like colouring scheme to it, and he looks absolutely ridiculous there. That is like his peak physique. And then I think now, like, looks great, obviously, but I definitely think he isn't on gear and hasn't been on gear because yeah, he's maintained that look now for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because he was second on my list, and I haven't put him as Mike Thurston. It's Chesty Mike because he has got the best pecs I've ever seen. But I think I'm fully in the camp of he is natural. Just to reiterate your points, like we followed him for a number of years, and his size hasn't really changed. I think he just knows how to work Instagram. He knows how to work the lighting. He knows how to tense. He knows how to get a pump on, and he does just look really good. Insane genetics. Like he's always been relatively large. From I can't remember the first time I started watching him, but from then to now he hasn't really changed much. It's just he's always been relatively big, and he just maintained that level of condition. He's got a bit chubby now and then, but nothing out of like nothing too wild. But he's always been big, massive pipes, big pecs, and just maintained that chesty Mike nickname. But yeah, I'm fully in the camp of Mike Thurston is natural, and if anyone disagrees, like who was it? I think Rob Lipsett said on a podcast or a video or somewhere that they were in Ibiza off their head on something, and he outright asked Mike, like, is he on anything? And obviously he could be lying, but Mike was like, no, he's not taking anything. He's completely natural. And I feel like if you're going to admit it at some point, that's when it's going to be. But obviously Rob could just be covering for him. But yeah, I feel like he has maintained what he developed, and now it's just a case of kind of maintaining that in his 30s.
Yeah, also like he's so disciplined with like his lifestyle. Like he's definitely obviously cut down on his partying, and he's also focused on his nutrition, his sleep. He's got that. I think he's like a partner of that Bionic, whatever it's called, in terms of that supplement brand as well. So like he's someone that really, really clearly preaches or practices what he preaches in terms of his healthy lifestyle. So definitely think, in my opinion and your opinion, clearly he sits in that Natty camp.
Absolutely. So, moving on to the next one. So, I did briefly mention it there, but Rob Lipsett, he is one of the OG fitness influencers. Certainly one of the first ones that I started watching, and the main reason why I kind of got into the industry, really. If you're not familiar, he is an Irish influencer. I think he's currently living in Marbella, but I am in the camp of he is natural. Like, even from when I first started watching him back in 2015, 2016, he's always looked the same. He's granted got a little bit bigger over the years, he's got a little bit leaner at certain times, but he's always looked the same. I'm not sure how tall he is, maybe I'll do a bit of research, but he's just always looked the same, and he's similar to Mike, really. His condition hasn't changed that much. He's not really got any bigger, he's not really got any smaller, and he's just maintained that level of leanness. Similar to Mike, he knows how to work Instagram, he knows how to get a pump on, he knows all the right lighting, he knows how to actually tense his muscles properly. Like, I feel like if he tenses any harder, he's going to explode. But yeah, he just looks very good, and probably just one of those genetic outliers again, where his fat distribution is just very fortunate that it doesn't sit on his abs, but he does also lead a very disciplined lifestyle. Like, if you watch his most recent videos, he's always eating well. He might be eating out, but he does talk through like his nutrition quite a lot. He intermittent fasts, and if he does go out to eat, then it's just not really big meals. It's normally like sushi or something, and then he'll train really hard around that as well. So yeah, fully on board with Rob Lipsett being natural. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, big fan of Rob. Obviously, again, another OG influencer in the space. Definitely think he's natural. I don't even think he's hit gear at any sort of point or anything like that. He's got a really good physique, but I would say it's quite small. It's not like he's not like an IFBB pro or anything like that. He does maintain a really impressive level of leanness. Like, he always has like vascularity in his quads, which is pretty wild. He obviously is living in Marbella as well, so he's tanned year round, which definitely helps with his physique. But he also competed. I think it was last year he competed. I don't know whether it was in a natural show though, to be fair. But he definitely, I don't think he took anything for the show. He didn't like change his look massively. He just looked like he got leaner. So yeah, I'm fully on board with him being in the natural camp as well, to be fair.
Yeah, love that. He's definitely an entertaining watch. I don't watch his videos too much, but I think I've started watching some more now during cardio because I'm running out of YouTube videos to watch. But he is entertaining, and the little Irish man, he's always a good laugh.
So then I'm going to now throw out one here, which I think isn't natty, and that's Ollie Marchon. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think it's Marchon. So I definitely think this guy is not natty. I would put him in the category of like, he's got an elite rig, to be fair, but he is one of those hybrid, non-natty people that preaches the hybrid life. And I'm a big fan of him, actually. Like, he's recently got his podcast out. I've listened to a few of his episodes. Really nice guy. Yeah, I think he doesn't preach to be natty, to be fair, but like, he also doesn't come out and say that he's not natty. He's got a very athletic background, so there's obviously some good genetics in there. I think he was like nearly a semi-pro rugby player, didn't quite make it on there. Then he kind of got into fitness, bodybuilding, that sort of stuff. But the rig that he maintains while completing his high rocks or CrossFit style of training, like his arms, delts, and chest, etc., like his upper body is just silly. He looks great. I do think that he is a bit misleading with himself because he pushes the fact that you can train you can train like a bodybuilder slash hybrid training and like look like him, which I think if you look at anyone who is natural, who does high rocks training or CrossFit style training, they don't look like him. Like they just don't look anything like him. They're like about 30 pounds of muscle lighter. They're more cardio based. You know, that they're not, the muscles aren't as big. That sort of heavy additional weight doesn't add any benefit to that sport. So it's definitely not going to carry over to their physique. But yeah, I'm interested to see what you think to this, Charlie.
So he was actually on my list as well. It's quite funny that we've shared a couple on there, but yeah, I'm fully in the camp of he is not natural. So I actually did a bit of research. He used to play for Saracens rugby team, if you're not familiar with rugby, and apparently represented his country with England's Sevens. He's now a strength coach, owner of March On, which is like a functional training app thing. But just looking at some pictures of him, as you were saying, like his upper body just looks insane. His abs are so thick and well developed. He's literally got traps like Bane. Like he just has no neck. It's just shoulders traps. That's it. And he just looks so good all year round. And granted, functional training does serve a purpose and it's very high intensity. So maybe he's just constantly burning fat. But I think to maintain that level of condition with that amount of muscle, he's definitely got to be juicing on something because it just looks insane. And I think to try and represent that has come from CrossFit and functional training, probably a little bit misleading. But yeah, fully supportive of the fact that he is not natural because it just looks insane. Obviously, with people like Mike Thurston and Rob Lipsett, they're in a different camp. Like they're more kind of lifestyle and influencery, but he does have that athletic background. So I guess you could say he's developed it from that sense. But now to try and be peddling the whole functional training movement and saying that, or basically showing that that's what he's got from that style of training is just not realistic. So yeah, definitely not natural.
Yeah, I mean, I completely get it from his point of view. Like, if he is on gear, he obviously needs to maintain a certain look. He's the front runner at his business. Like, all eyeballs are on him. If his physique isn't showing up like on Instagram or in social media or in his advertising, then obviously that's going to impact his business. That's going to be taking food away from his family, etc. So completely get it. He may have came out and said he's not natural. I'm just not aware of it. But yeah, I would say just looking at his physique, definitely not natural.
100%. And yeah, I don't think I've heard him come out and say he's not natural, but I think if he is, fair play, he puts a lot of work in. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. It'd be interesting to get his perception on it, but I can't imagine we'll get him on the pod at any time soon. Right, my next one. So this is something that we discussed the other day, briefly discussed. So we tried not to talk about the list too much, but Mo Samuels. So if you don't know Mo, he is just like a stereotypical influencer, YouTube, Instagram, just travels all over the world, looks very good. He's had a lot of health conditions over the years, so this makes me question whether he is natural or not, because if he does take anything, then he's risking jeopardizing his health. But he's currently going through like a prep for a bodybuilding competition, and we've both been in prep at the same amount of time. Granted, he's got a lot more muscle than me, he looks better than me, but the way he's gone from like being very fat, very chubby, I wouldn't say very fat, just not as lean as he has been previously, and he's literally got shredded in like 4 weeks. Like you can see abs, you can see leg veins, you can just see everything, and it just makes me question how natural is he, because to go from where he was, he did have some pictures on Instagram the other day, so I'll see if I can find them, but to go from that to where he is now, I know his calories are quite low and he's doing a lot of cardio and he is digging really deep for it, so maybe he has just got really lean from that. But yeah, I think just his vascularity, his muscle development, and just the way that he's got so shredded so quickly, it does make me question his natural status. So I'm going to say I'm kind of in the middle, leaning more towards not natty. But yeah, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that, Jason.
I am 99% sure that he's come out on, I think it might be in his pod or another pod previously, where said that he has taken like clenbuterol, which is basically like a fat loss drug, which increases your heart rate, and therefore you burn more calories, therefore you will basically, get shredded quicker, which I do believe puts him in the not natty camp, but I don't think he's taken anything like steroid wise or, any of those sort of performance enhancing drugs. and I think on his Instagram now he claims that he's like natural or like unenhanced or something like that. So he is definitely claiming that, and I do think that. I get that. I get the health sort of scare issues or whatever because he's had several medical issues. I think he put a video on the other day saying he had like 8 surgeries and what he learned from it or something like that. I didn't watch the video, but I saw the title of it. And yeah, I definitely think he could be, but I'm actually going to be in the camp, and I think he's Natty. I think that he's a coach. He has complete autonomy over his life in terms of like what he does when he does it. So if he wants to wake up, do cardio, do his client check-ins or whatever, then like he's got full autonomy on that. He's not like he's running like a corporate job along the side. So this is his life. I also think he is one of the masters when it comes to like Instagram and like lighting and getting a pump and showing the photos. I mean, he did look like he had vascular quads in one of the photos that I saw, which is definitely fringe stuff. But it has come out on one of his, I think it was like one of his Instagram posts or in a Q&A or something like that, saying that like he cannot maintain this level of body fat for a very long time. Which is so that would be the real test, is if like he stays at this sort of level of body fat, because I think he's only, I don't know how many more weeks he's got left, but I believe he's competing in like a month or so, probably similar sort of time frame to yourself. But yeah, I do think he had a decent amount of muscle on him before, which is impressive to be fair. And I think he's got decent genetics because, to go through all the surgeries and all the time where he's been having to recover in hospital and literally no weight training, and then to come back to where he is now, his best physique ever, arguably, it is really, really impressive. So I'm going to lean on the Natty side, to be fair. But with the caveat that if you count clenbuterol as making you unnatty, which is understandable, then he could be not natty.
Yeah, absolutely, and I completely agree. I did hear, he has previously taken Clen. I think he did dabble in Psalms a little bit. I don't know how long ago, but yeah, I don't think he's taken anything now. But it just the rate at which he's got shredded has made me question it. But I think the calories that he's on, I think he's on like 1,800 calories from what I last saw. So yeah, for him to be that condition, obviously his calories do have to drop that low, which then suggests that he's not taking anything. But yeah, it's just a bit suspicious. So that was why I was kind of in the middle. But I think based on his health conditions and where he's been at previously, just very good genetics and the potential is there. But I think he's probably more natural. It's just a bit like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit up for debate, but I'm definitely in the natty camp for him. However, my next person that I'm going to put forward is definitely in the debate camp. Probably one of the most hotly debated in fitness influencers that I've seen in this discussion. So that's Simeon Panda. Obviously, it's going to raise a few eyebrows, everyone who knows him. So he is probably the OG fake natty in terms of, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, by the way. That's not my personal view. My personal view is actually, I'm going to put it out there. I think he could be natural, which some people will be probably laughing me off, But I think at this point, he's been very, very adamantly claiming that he is natural. I think that if you look at his physique, then it hasn't really progressed from where it is now for a very long time. I do think when he popped onto the scene, he absolutely exploded. I think he had a few contracts with I think it was like Maxi Muscle or like My Protein or something like that. He was like their front runner for a little while, lots of sponsorships, and he just looks ridiculous. But when you look at his physique, certainly now, he doesn't really have like that sort of anabolic pop in like his upper body. So like talking chest, delts, traps, like upper back and stuff. There's not really that sort of anabolic pop. So that kind of leads me to think that if he has used gear, which I genuinely probably don't think he has, he may have used it early on, but he's certainly not on it now. But I do think it is worth like noting that must be like literally like the top 0.0001% of like lifters. And I think, to be fair, that goes with like some of Mike Thurston's and stuff as well. Like there are guys out there who just have stupidly good genetics. Like and then there's people out there who have average genetics and they have to work really, really hard, and they'll look half decent. But the genetics is probably the biggest factor when it comes, well, probably after, I guess, training and sleep and recovery in those ones. But genetics in terms of like what you can actually go away and achieve with your physique does have a huge impact. And he clearly has unbelievable genetics. So yeah, I'm gonna lean on he's natty, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
So yeah, he was actually on my list because he is quite hotly debated in this topic. I'm more on the camp of he is natty. Like I think he does look very good. He does look unnatural, but I think he does just have those genetics that make him one of the outliers. So yeah, he does look insane. He has earned a professional status in bodybuilding back in like 2013, but I think he's just been training from such a young age, and then combine that with his genetics. You know, if you're training from like the age of 14, 15, 16, you've got elite level genetics like him, you are going to develop a very good physique where he can just maintain it. He hasn't really changed at all over the years. He just trains really hard. So, yeah, I think based on what you've said and what I've seen over the years, because even when I first started following him back in like 2017, 2018, maybe, he hasn't really changed that much. I think, you know, on Instagram, he just looks very good. Again, one of the ones that knows how to work the lighting, knows how to actually contract his muscles, get a good pump on. But yeah, I just don't think he's juicing because he hasn't changed that much. I think he's just, you know, so renowned in the industry and he just looks insane, just elite level genetics, and definitely a bit questionable, but I'm leaning more towards natural just because, you know, the genetics are there, and like you said, he doesn't have that pop and everything is just pretty samey. He hasn't changed at all over the years. So maybe sometime in the past when he was going through that bodybuilding journey, but now he's just maintained what he's built, and yeah, definitely natural now.
Yeah, I'd say agree. Definitely natural now. Maybe gear use early on, but I don't. The fact that he's maintained that physique for a while, I just don't think that he did have that initial sort of explosion onto the scene with gear, and then because if you come off gear, your physique's gonna take a dramatic step back over time. Some people think that you can just do like one cycle and then you're gonna maintain all that mass. It doesn't work like that. Like so I'm still gonna go natty.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, that's probably the safest route to go, but if anyone would like to debate that, then just slide on into the Instagram DMs. The next one I'm going to come out with is another ex bodybuilder. So Steve Cook, if you don't know who he is, Gymshark athlete or former Gymshark athlete, I don't know if he still is, YouTuber, quite an OG in the fitness industry as well. Men's Health magazine, you name it, he's done it. I'm going to sway towards he's not natural because again he has gone through the bodybuilding shows, he has reached that elite level of bodybuilder, and I think he does have the genetics there, but I think he's capitalized on some extracurricular supplements, to say the least, because he's just gone so his physique has varied across the years. Like one minute he's really small, the next he's really big and vascular and just full. Like I'm just looking at some pictures now, and I've scrolled past two pictures. One where he's wearing like a quarter zip vest, and he looks like a normal guy that lifts, nothing really special. And then the next one along, his delts are popping, his traps are so vascular and just dense. And I think, yeah, he's not natural in my eyes. Maybe he is now, but I think previously over the years, especially developing his physique, he's definitely been on and off something over the years. Like there's a variety of pictures that I'm looking at now, and it's just very questionable. So I think for his line of work to look really good for Men's Health magazine covers, to look good for Gymshark, and to just present that image essentially, he has to be on something.
Yeah, I think I'm a huge fan of Steve Cook. Let's just throw that out there for starters. Like, been a fan of his for a long time. Definitely an OG in the space. Pretty sure he coined the phrase "last rep, best rep." Don't know how true that is really, but yeah, I've always looked up to him. Really good guy. He does have a great rig now, but he did have an exceptional rig. I think if you go back on his Instagram, I can't remember what the year is, but there's somewhere he's playing like Aussie rules football. And I remember even at the time when those pictures were released, I was sending them to, I think it was David or someone, one of our mates. And I was like, the guy's just looking absolutely insane at the minute. He's wearing like a short sleeve t-shirt, which is like rolled up, and he's like playing these still images of him playing Aussie rules football, and just looks juiced out of his mind, looks unbelievable. And then you look at him now, and yeah, he looks like he lifts. He's obviously very fit, but he doesn't have, again, the anabolic pop, so he's definitely off gear now, and he probably, yeah, I'd say definitely was back then, to be honest, looking at his physique. But yeah, so I'm going to go not natty, because he used to use gear. However, now he's clearly mellowed out a little bit. I think he's becoming a bit of the older statesman. I think he's getting close to 40 now. If I think he's certainly the other side of 35, I believe. So he clearly changing in priorities. Probably going to end up settling down. I think he's just got married as well in the last couple of years. But he's obviously into like his golf now, so you don't really need to be blasting gear if you're on the golf course.
Yeah, I think he just he's now maintaining a look that he's happy with. And obviously, as you get older, your priorities change, and he's probably not too focused on looking like the big muscular guy. I think, he might have a kid on the way. I'm not too sure, but generally that's how it goes. They just absolutely blast gear when they're younger, and then go into their 30s and just maintain what they've developed. And now he's obviously getting a little bit older, settling down, getting married, whatnot. So yeah, previously not natty, but now probably is natural.
Right, so I'm going to move on to someone who's not an IFBB pro bodybuilder, but does have a very respectable physique. So I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this, Charlie, because I'm going to go, this guy's not natty, and that is Lewis Young. So he's like an Instagram influencer. I think he was friends with like Brandon Harding. Used to be coached, I think, for a brief time from Cal from Pro Coach. So he doesn't claim to be natty. He looks more like a fitness sort of model slash physique model rather than like an IFBB pro sort of size. He clearly is into his what is it, tricking, I think it's called, or like yeah, that sort of stuff where he does a lot of flips and a lot of like gymnastics work. He's got a great midsection, like exceptional midsection, and he's got a solid all-round physique. But I don't think he's natural because I don't think he doesn't specifically sort of train bodybuilding. So he trains like a lot of his tricking and gymnastics work as well. So I'm gonna go with he's not natty. I don't know whether he's potentially used previously and isn't using now, but yeah, I'm gonna go not natty.
Yeah, I knew who you were talking about, but I've just pulled up some pictures, and there's a picture pinned to the top of his Instagram from 54 weeks ago, and he's doing some tricking stuff in there. But then you scroll down a little bit, and his size, he's like doubled in size since then. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think I'm gonna lean more towards not natty because his level of condition to maintain that's definitely taking some sauce because we both know to try and maintain any form of leanness is very hard. You have to starve yourself essentially. And, he's quite a big guy. I'm not sure how tall he is, but I just think for the level of condition he has and also, the amount of muscle he has, he's definitely got to be taking something. But if he's not, fair enough. I can't say I've followed him too much or kept up to date with him, but he does just look very good midsection, all round muscle. But maybe he's not maybe up for contention, but I would say he's not natural. So I'm going to move on to Matt does fitness. So this is another one that's quite heavily contested in the fitness industry, and I feel like it was bound to come up at some point from one of us. I'm in the camp of he is natural. He's come from a very athletic background. He was a teacher. Not that teachers can't take steroids, but he was a teacher and gravitated more into the YouTube space. So I think he was like late 20s, early 30s when he got into YouTube. So, at that age, you're probably not going to be interested in steroids. He did have a powerlifting background after he finished competing in athletics. But then also you look at his brother, and his brother has maintained the same level of muscularity, and they look identical from a genetic perspective. So I think based on that, and Matt overall, he does know how to work the angles. He has also uploaded pictures where like the lighting's very shit and he doesn't have a pump on. He's then done some press ups. He sprayed himself with like some oil or some water, and then got the lighting, all the down lighting and whatnot. And then he looks like a completely different person. And he has obviously gone through that testing procedure with more plates, more dates, and that's come back as he doesn't take anything. So I'm in the camp of Matt's fitness is natural. Even though he doesn't look it, I just think he's, again, one of those genetic outliers, and based on his brother as well. His brother is very lean. His brother does have a lot of strong muscle insertions and origins, and it just a very athletic family all around. So, and also his sister, like they all look the same. Obviously, his sister is female, that's why she's his sister. But again, you can see that there is that athletic genetic in there. So yeah, what are your thoughts there, Jason?
So I agree with everything you've said, especially highlighting the fact that he's got his brother who clearly has decent genetics as well, who's obviously trained really hard as well. And yeah, so I would say definitely natural. The one that the thing that really seals it for me is the nail in the coffin is if Derek from More Plates More Dates says that you're natural and he puts you through a load of testing, then that's like gospel to me. No one's getting around Derek. He's so fact based and obviously knows his stuff, knows his physiology. That if Derek goes he's natural, then he's natural. Nothing more needs to be said. He's natural.
Yeah, 100%. Derek, More Plates, More Dates. If you haven't seen who he is, I think he outed did he out Liver King? He had something to do with the Liver King drama. But yeah, he is like one of the big voices in the industry, shall we say, for calling people out in that sense, and putting people through testing and stuff like that. So he says he's natural. I fully believe it, and based on where he's come from, the athletic background, his family as well, his genetic history essentially, yeah, definitely a natural.
So the next one I'm going to go through is it's more of an Instagram bodybuilder. He's not someone that I've followed massively, but occasionally comes up in my sort of reels. So that's Shizzy Lifts. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him too much, Charlie, so you might have to go and Google him or put him on Instagram and have a look. So I think that there's a lot of debate around whether this guy is natural or not. From my understanding, he's relatively young, like he's 20s, and he's just got ludicrously big arms. Like his arms are pretty wham, and that's probably what he's most known for. I'm going to actually go in the camp that he's natural, but I think he's got silly genetics on his arms. I can't remember which bit of content I saw, but I think Jay Cutler met him and was like, bro, like you need to balance out your physique. Your arms are overpowering, which is like the absolute goal to have feedback from Jay Cutler on your arms like that. But I think he is a bit of a monster as well. So from what I've seen on his social media, I think a while ago he got like stabbed multiple times, like in his like upper chest, and then he like went on and just trained, like kept on training. Didn't actually. He basically got like assaulted or something like that, but nothing really came out of it from what I saw. But yeah, I think he's just a bit of a natural monster. Trains really hard. He's got stupidly big arms, and that therefore puts people on the path that he could not be natural. But again, like I could be talking absolute waffle here. I'm keen to hear your thoughts, but I think he's natural.
Yeah, I'm not actually familiar with him, so I just pulled up his Instagram, and he does have natural in his Instagram bio, so that's a bit questionable. But I think looking at everything on his Instagram and what you've just said as well, I would say that he is natural. He does have insane arms, like his arms are huge, but you look at everything else, his pecs, his midsection, even like his back, he doesn't have that pop like you mentioned. I think he does just have like really elite genetics. Clearly trains very hard to get to the level he's been in. I'm not sure how old he is. Maybe I could do a bit of research about that. But yeah, I think based on everything you've just said and looking at some of these pictures, like, his arms do look insane and he does have a very respectable physique. But yeah, I would be surprised if he's not natural. That does look attainable if you're training from a young age and if you do have very good genetics. And maybe he's just one of those people that spammed arm training for the first few years of his training career, and now he's getting the benefits from that. But yeah, I definitely think his physique is attainable naturally, and he doesn't really have anything that jumps out and says like this isn't natural, because he's got abs, he's got big arms, he's relatively lean, but he's also not like freakishly big either. So yeah, I'm definitely in the camp of he is natural. So my next one, another OG in the fitness space, is Christian Guzman. So if you're not familiar with Christian, he is the owner of Alpha Elite and Alpha Land Gym. I think my main reason for throwing this in is just because like what he puts his body through and how lean he does get. Like his physique hasn't really changed, but similar to Mo Samuels, really, he just gets so lean so quickly and so easily. Obviously, he did go through a phase where he did get really out of shape, shall we say, when the Alpha Land gym was being developed and he was going through a lot of stress with that. But I then think coming off the back of that, he does put on a lot of muscle in a short space of time, or he looks like he does. So he might just be one of those ones on Instagram that again knows how to work the lighting, knows how to work all the angles. I'm not really sure of the shows he's competed in as such, so I couldn't comment on that. But I think the condition he gets in is just insane, and every year he's doing summer shredding. He doesn't really commit to a gaining phase, so maybe that's why he can get so lean so quickly, because he just diets for the show, puts on a load of fat, and then again just loses it all pretty quickly. So maybe he is natural in that sense, but I would lean more towards he is taking something at least. Not sure what, but something.
Yeah, I think he's definitely not natural from my understanding of it. What I would say is he was natural for a very long time, and fair play to him. Obviously, he'd been in the space a long while, definitely competed as a natural, had great genetics, always got to like a really good shredded physique, did a great YouTube series over the years of summer shredding. So, yeah, he was natural for a while, but I think if you go back and look at his physique probably like 4 years ago and then look at it now, it's quite different. I feel like also you can see when he's on gear because like his face blows up. It's a bit of some people have just a bit of a weird reaction to it, but like his like upper chest delts blow up, but then also like his face, he just looks completely different. He always looks like a completely different person when in my perception he's taken stuff. And also you've got to remember that I think it was last year or I don't know when he did, but he came out and said there's 10 things that I want to achieve before I'm 40, I think he said, and one of those was he wanted to be an IFBB pro, and he said that he would do anything to achieve that goal. So, and I think that was like around the time where he potentially sort of jumped on gear. So I think if he wants to be an IFBB pro, he's clearly competed naturally before. He doesn't have the natural genetics to be an IFBB pro, but I do think that so therefore I think he's jumped on gear because he wants to achieve that. So I'm gonna go with not Natty as well.
Yeah, I think, to be an IFBB pro, the clue's in the name. To be a professional, you have to be at that top level. And if you don't have the genetics for it, then you are going to be juicing, which a lot of the guys that do compete are juicing quite heavily. So, yeah, I think just reiterating what you've said, you go back 4 or 5 years, he was natural, a very attainable physique, but again, I think he was training from a young age, so he did develop and is not natural.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Nathan French, who is a Instagram hybrid athlete. You've probably seen him on Instagram before. I'm going to go with him being not natural. So I see him as another hybrid gear blasting athlete who is either on like a decent amount of gear or like certainly TRT plus as a minimum. I don't believe he claims natural either, but he certainly doesn't preach that he's not natural. But the physique that he has, and he's also competed in bodybuilding and done pretty well. I think he competed in like a men's physique show. And then the amount of endurance events he does, like he's a hell of an athlete, like for sure. But like just given the amount of muscle that he maintains year round, the amount of strength he has, I'm sure there's videos of him benching like 180 or certainly 4 plates for multiple reps. So that's obviously really impressive. But he also does a serious amount of volume when it comes to endurance style training, which obviously is going to negate the muscle mass that he's trying to build and maintain. I also think that he probably looks bigger on Instagram than he does in real life. That's what I would suspect. But I would put him in the same camp as like the Ollie Marchons, where he's blasting gear, but he's obviously doing hybrid, and therefore, that's probably like what is really popular at the minute within the space is people who have ridiculous rigs and do hybrid training. So he's probably got some sort of financial incentive in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't actually familiar with him, so I just pulled up his Instagram, but I would agree with you in the sense of I would put him in the same camp as Ollie Marchon. He's obviously developed a physique in some way with the bodybuilding, competing, and building the muscle in that respect, but then, he's probably been juicing alongside it, and now he is taking something, because if you're doing that much endurance training alongside that much lifting, you've either got to eat copious amounts, which he probably is, but then you've also got to be taking something to maintain that level of muscle. Otherwise, it's just going to wither away. Like, your body cannot keep up with that. And yeah, I think he does look very good. From some of his pictures, he looks like it's achievable naturally. But then some of others, it's just, he looks so thick and dense. And yeah, he definitely has that questionable physique. So I'm going to lean more towards not Natty, in the same camp as Ollie Marchon, definitely. But yeah, it's a bit questionable. Some pictures are a bit hit and miss, but then you pull up another one and it's just insane. So yeah, definitely not natural from my perspective. So this one is going to be my last one. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, Nathaniel Messiah. He is a powerlifting Gymshark athlete, I believe. He's blown up recently over the years, like on YouTube and Instagram. I think he's got like a 300 kilo plus deadlift, maybe like a 250 plus squat. So he is very strong. I'm going to lean more towards that he is natural, because he's quite young, but he does have like very good genetics. It looks like he is just naturally very strong, and one of those, I'm going to say athletes, that's not the word I mean, but I think he's like early 20s, maybe 21, and his size doesn't look unattainable. I think he's just been training from a very young age, and he's just been very consistent with his powerlifting journey, so hence why he's been able to lift quite a lot. But based on his age and the amount that he trains, his physique doesn't look like he's taken anything. He's just capitalized on that powerlifting element. So yeah, I'm not really sure on your thoughts on that, but I would say he is natural.
Big fan of Nathaniel Messiah. Followed him on and off for a long time. Yeah, he's obviously still pretty young. I mean, he got blew up on YouTube when he was like 16, 17 or something. I think he was still at high school, like posting videos and was getting loads of followers. But yeah, followed his journey on and off for a while. Definitely think he is natural. From my understanding, he's only recently got into powerlifting, which is when I say recently, I mean probably the last 2, 3 years or so. He's got a coach as well. He's been coaching him, and yeah, clearly got some really impressive feats that he's put forward in terms of strength. He's also competed multiple times. I believe it's in the I want to say it's the IPF, I think it is, International Powerlifting Federation, which I believe they test you at anyway. So just a bit of a side note, I guess. Obviously, Sean Fitzpatrick, is it? Who's on Instagram? Who's that Irish guy that we occasionally sort of message about? He's obviously doing a natural powerlifting show because they're going to test his natty status, and he wants to prove that he's natural. The guy's clearly natural; just eats loads of potatoes. But
Yeah.
yeah, in terms of Nathaniel Messiah, I think his physique it's not ridiculously good. Like, it's a good physique, but I also think he's clearly got some really good strength genetics, and he clearly works very hard. He's clearly practiced the skill that is powerlifting. I think people underestimate that as well. Like, if you really work on your squat, then you're going to have a better squat. If you squat multiple times a week, 2, 3 times a week, if you really work on your deadlift, then you're going to have a much better deadlift, much more so than if you was just a bodybuilder who would then perform those free movements. So I think there's that, and I also think when it comes to powerlifting, he does have some elite genetics. Like, if you look at like the length of his arms and the length of his legs, like when he locks out his deadlift, he's like barely got it above his knee. Like, it's like the range of motion is obviously much more reduced. So yeah, I'm gonna go with natural. I think he's been in the space a while. You would notice if he suddenly blasted up with gear.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned about the IPF. I didn't even think of that, but yeah, just scrolling through his Instagram now, he has competed quite a lot recently. And obviously, if they're testing him, then that's a no-brainer, really. But I think just his overall physique as well, he's probably not taking anything because, he's just been able to build a lot of muscle, which supports that powerlifting. And again, has just rinsed the powerlifting training to build that level of strength. So yeah, I think he is definitely natural, and what he's achieved is attainable for some people if you have genetics for it.
I'll go for my last one then. So this one we've both got a little bit of an insight in recently because we've actually seen this person in person. So that is Elliot Bfit. I think I've pronounced his Instagram handle correctly there. So this guy is basically like another hybrid athlete, but he's clearly got a really solid rig on him. I'm going to go with, I think he's natural, but he's got some seriously good pipe genetics. I'm not sure what pipes are measuring in at, but having seen him in person, like, his physique is impressive, but it's not mind-blowing. And I think if you look at like some of his videos, his legs aren't like ludicrously good. Like, I would put my legs on par, if not, if to be honest, slightly better than his legs, but he definitely has some ridiculously good pipes. So like in a lot of his photos and videos, he's like flexing his arms, and yeah, clearly got some great arms. But I also think that his physique is definitely achievable with years of hard work and training, plus the fact that a lot of his training, although he does like occasional bit of running, he seems to sort of lean more towards physique development. I've never seen him sort of doing like burpees or anything like that. He just basically, from what I can see, goes running, maybe occasionally cycles, and then just sort of does his weight training. Doesn't really do too much sort of cardio based workouts. But yeah, I think he is natural. I mean, power to him. He's got a great physique. Also produces some really good content as well, which is very creative, which I appreciate as well. But yeah, I'm going to go Natty.
Yeah, big fan of his content, and yeah, obviously passed through him in the airport on our return from skiing. I've actually followed him for a good few years, like easily since 2018 maybe, and his physique hasn't really changed. Obviously, he's got leaner at certain points. He's got a little bit chubbier at certain points. I say chubby, not really chubby, but chubby for him. And yeah, I completely agree. His pipes look insane, and the majority of his pictures are just flexing his arms like tanks, short sleeve t-shirts that are very tight. I think his physique overall looks very good. His midsection isn't that kind of dense, and it doesn't have that development that those that are juicing would have. I just think he has been training a long time and put a lot of effort into training. But again, one of those people that probably has the genetics that allows him to grow the arms that he's got. But yeah, his physique is definitely attainable naturally. And I'm not sure what his heritage is, but I'm sure he's said it's like part Jamaican or something. So that's obviously factoring into that. And yeah, I think he is more in the hybrid training camp now. Obviously goes through a few runs now and then and hops on the bike, but primarily does weightlifting, so that's obviously going to support his physique. But yeah, definitely a natural one there. Just looks very good, and again knows how to work the Instagram lighting, knows how to get all the right pictures, and just capitalizes on his insane pipes.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting if you say that he's got some Jamaican heritage in there as well, because that would probably contribute to some better genetics. I mean, I'm like fully Norfolk genetics, unfortunately. So I did like, is it Ancestry or maybe one of those? And it was literally like 99.9% Norfolk. And I was just like, damn, like, why couldn't I have those pipes in my genetics? So yeah, very jealous, because I'd say one of the areas for my opportunities is that I always feel like my arms look really small, like they're lean, but I always feel like they look pretty small. So if you're blessed, like a few of the people actually that we've gone through on this list now, so like Shizzy lifts, for example, obviously blessed of arms. Elliot is blessed of arms, and they obviously work hard for them as well. I'm not saying they don't, but each person's got something. You know, they've got something going on, from whether it's calf, or it's arms, or it's midsection. But if you are fortunate enough to have arms, then you know you can just fucking rock a vest and you'll look unbelievable most of the year round. So yeah, I agree, Natty. I think it's really interesting actually, this exercise that we've gone through and kind of discussed all these Instagram influencers, because I would say probably about 4, maybe 5 years ago, there'd probably be a lot more debate around it, or maybe people would be like hiding whether their natty status. But I feel like actually like there's probably a really big push in the fitness space over the last few years about just like transparency. I feel like there's a lot more influencers now that are being transparent with their audiences. I think that's definitely the right direction to go. Generally speaking, I definitely think there are some people that are transparent. I won't name names, but they kind of push their gear usage, and that can have a negative impact on the overall fitness space, and definitely have a negatively influence, you know, weak, or not weak's probably the wrong word, or immature minds to potentially start considering using gear use quite early. But I mean, every single person that we've gone through now, we've obviously we've agreed on pretty much everyone. So it just goes to show you that you know you can spot these guys if you know what you're looking for. I think yeah, then there's less of them coming out. And I mean, if you are a fake natty and you're out there, then like Derek from More Plates, More Dates will find you, and he will out you, and he'll make a massive YouTube video of it, 45 minutes, and you know your reputation is just going to be in the bin. That's gonna absolutely cancel you. So you got to be careful.
100%. If you're trying to claim natural, don't let Derek from More Plates, More Dates get anywhere near you. But yeah, it's interesting you say that, because obviously there is a few influencers out there that publish like what they're taking, dosages and things like that on YouTube, or on even on Instagram, and that can be very damaging. But there is now becoming more openness about it, even with like TRT use. So I feel like there's going to be more of that in the coming few years. Obviously, as people get older, they do want to start taking something, and they can then use that as content as such to document their process through that. So that'll be quite interesting. But I think based on everyone we've covered, I feel like we've been pretty on the money. I mean, if by all means, if they want to reach out and dispute it, then they absolutely can do. But if we've called someone natural and they're not, I don't think they'll dispute that.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, really enjoyed going through it. It's interesting how aligned we are, and obviously crossover there with quite a few of the people we had to talk about. But yeah, I think it's just really interesting to be able to get your thoughts on it. But it is nice to see that we're aligned. And yeah, that's probably everything I've got to go through, Charlie. Nearly on the hour mark. Anything you wanted to go through?
No, I'm happy to wrap it up there, mate.
Awesome. Right, so we'll wrap up there. Appreciate everyone listening. We've now obviously put out a few episodes as well on social, so we're now starting to see some of the love when we was previously keeping a few in the bank. But yeah, keep following us on Instagram. So it's Beyond Reps Pod. And then appreciate all the likes, shares, and engagement we can have. You can rate the episode 5 stars on Spotify as well. As it stands, from the latest ones that I've seen, it's 24th of April now. So there's only 3 5-star ratings. One of them's from me, one of them's from Charlie, and the other one's probably from my partner. So, you know, we need some more love on the socials. So, yeah, please hit us up.
Yeah, absolutely. Rate it, share it with everyone that you know, anyone, share it on socials, whatever you can do. We would appreciate the love. And yeah, it's been a pleasure.
No worries. Speak to you soon, guys.